Hello and welcome to another episode of All Things Money. I'm your host Fatima Attarwala, and with me today is the renowned economist Kaiser Bengali, though he himself identifies himself as a notorious economist. Hello sir, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So just before we went on air, we started recording, you mentioned that the IMF has demanded Pakistan remove the Federal Finance Secretary from the State Bank Board, and that is something that you posted on X as well. So why? Why would IMF meddle into something as micro as the Federal Finance Secretary?
They've meddled before also, on more than one occasion, and the State Bank Amendment was passed in 2021. There they also forced through the amendment, which is quite dangerous. You see, the purpose of a bank is to lend money, and the purpose of a central bank is to lend money to the government. The 21 amendment made it prohibitive, prohibited the government from borrowing money from the state bank. They can only borrow money from private banks, commercial banks. And commercial banks can borrow money from the state bank. So we created an intermediary, the commercial banks borrowing money from the state bank and then lending it forward to the government with, of course, an additional interest rate on it. So commercial banks are making profit just by acting as a post office.
Yeah,
and government is borrowing more expensively.
The commercial banks love it. I mean, they protest against the taxes, but it's very easy money for them, and
Very
it
easy
squeezes
money.
out the
And
private sector.
this amendment that is being proposed not only removes the only representative of the government on the board, but it also the report is that government will be barred from inspecting commercial banks.
The government of this country would be barred from inspecting its own banks, the country's banks.
So the banking sector will become a state within a state, not answerable to anybody.
But what is IMF's logic in proposing this?
I can't say what is their logic, except that the only logic I can see is this is the neoliberal agenda of just weakening the state, let the market, particularly the finance sector, international finance sector, run the country.
The finance
We already have, from 1993, we have a continuous flow of state bank governors who are from international financial institutions. In fact, from 93 onwards, 16 years, uninterrupted, we had state bank governors from financial institutions, international financial institutions.
That has been something that has been celebrated, something that we've been proud of. Because, they have international experience. So
this is the tragedy of the country, that I think our elite, they still have a colonial mindset. They think if they are foreigners, they have to be better than ourselves, irrespective of the fact that these foreigners are also brown Pakistanis. But the very fact that they are wearing a cap of a foreign institution, they are supposed to be better. This is tragic for this country that we celebrate our own slavery.
Be that as it may, SBP as an institution over the last 5 years, decade, has done good work. It has managed to control inflation, it has increased digitization, there's RAS, there's PRISM. So I think both things perhaps are in order.
Since I think in the last 25 years, State Bank has become a very good, very professional organization, and its capacity for research, for monetary policy is also good. But that doesn't mean all the monetary policy they make is good. During the Musharraf years under Shaukat Aziz, the State Bank actually had a monetary policy that allowed banks to make enormous profits. And a lot of foreign banks came in And after the Musharraf government fell, these banks left. Barclays is a very key example of that.
I think with Barclays, Standard Chartered, other than Standard Chartered, I don't know of a foreign bank that has a strong presence.
No, Citibank.
But it is not. Citibank is more big businesses rather than
yes,
commercial.
but it's here. Barclays just closed shop and went away. They came, they made huge profits because the state bank had set up a monetary policy which allowed these banks to make a lot of profits. Then more recently, again, they had a monetary policy, and what they did was very high interest rates, and there was no reason for this. There was no economic reason for raising interest rates. You see, inflation occurs for two reasons. There is a supply side, which means when the cost of production goes up, the product will be more expensive, so which means inflation will be high. The other is demand side. The cost of production is the same, but more people are demanding that product, so the seller will sell it to the highest bidder. So that's what inflation. If you have demand side inflation, you raise interest rates because you want to reduce the amount of money that is in the economy. But if you have supply side inflation, then raising interest rates would make it worse because capital is a cost of production. You are further increasing the cost of production. At the time the State Bank raised interest rates, this is under Raza Bakar, inflation was largely supply side. There was no reason to raise. So they actually dampened the economy further. But what had happened was that a lot of money market speculators of the world, they brought in money into Pakistan, earned very high interest rates, and when the high interest rates could not be sustained anymore, the time had come to reduce interest rates, they pulled out their money and went away. So the State Bank actually, politically, for the last 25 years, has served to benefit international money speculators.
I think that's whenever there's high interest rate, hot money flows in. When the interest rates come down, hot money flows out. But when the pandemic happened and then the Ukraine-Russia crisis happened and the whole world went into an energy supply shock, commodity price shock. So I think all the central banks raised interest rates at various levels. It wasn't just Pakistan that was doing it. It's the basic economic theory, right?
What I'm talking,
high inflation,
I'm talking
high
about post-pandemic period.
So that's when the Russia-Ukraine crisis happened. This is like 2001, 2002, 2021, 2022.
See, Pakistan's economy is not really linked to the world economy in any sense. The only thing that matters to her is oil prices.
Oil prices, yeah.
There was no reason to raise interest rates to 23%. In fact, inflation has dropped today, not because of government policies, but because there is no purchasing power.
Yes.
People simply are not buying anything. So that's one major reason for the decline of inflation. But talking of the State Bank, I want to maintain that State Bank is there to serve the interest of international finance, not the country.
If you were to make that argument that State Bank is there for the purposes of serving international finance, then that means that Pakistan is important enough in the global market for people to want to influence State Bank. And I just feel that Pakistan has more of a nuisance value rather than an economic value.
It is important enough to squeeze.
It's important enough to squeeze. So what do we have left that we can squeeze out?
Well, I think no. Pakistan is a very resource-rich country.
Resources that have not benefited us, be it Sendek, be it Brekodek, be it oil reserves, whatever we have of them.
For two reasons. One, there is just as in the 60s we had the 22 families. I think we have another maybe 20, 22 families. Or not just families, sectors that is making enormous profit out of rentier policies. You know, just and they are benefiting, and the foreign sector is benefiting. Our banking sector is entirely foreign owned, 80%, not entirely. Our telecommunication is entirely foreign owned, and even in the consumer market, we have
they're all
cafes and restaurants and boutiques.
All importing goods, yeah.
So
if you go to Dolmen, it's all filled with imported
you
goods.
have to, actually, if you go to a supermarket in Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, you have to search for a Pakistani product.
Even if we search for a Pakistani product, the inputs would be imported.
Yes,
more or less.
but okay, at least there is some value addition. You go to Islamabad airport, there are 2 cafes in the departure lounge, both are foreign. It's usually you can't. I like to buy biscuits, and I can't find Pakistani biscuits. So there is a whole lobby that has created a protected, privileged market for foreign companies, and at the cost of Pakistani business.
When we talk about Gaza boycotts, and this is a very unpopular opinion, but it is so hard, so incredibly hard to boycott foreign products because we do not have anywhere close to local substitutes.
That's true.
Even companies that we think are local are not local, or brands that we think are local. Like Lifebuoy is associated more with Pakistan than it is, but it's not a local brand.
That's
so I mean,
right.
it's very hard to buy anything that is not in some way related.
See, whenever our trade deficit, that is the import-export difference, goes very high and we have to reduce our imports to correct that, at the same time industrial production also drops. Because in the last 50-60 years, we have built our manufacturing sector based on imported raw material. We have not based our industry on our own raw material. We grow rice and we export rice and we import rice cereal.
Yes, there's no value addition.
No.
I mean, we import pulses, we import tomatoes, we import all kinds of food stuff, but we still grow sugar. It's like sugar is one thing that has to be grown, no matter how water scarce we are and how water reliant the crop is.
Sugar is let me be polite, it's a disgrace.
I think the lobby behind sugar is so strong. It's like sugar has become a staple.
Sugar, paper industry.
Paper industry.
Yeah, you know, a basic elementary textbook will tell you that your import duty on raw material must be low and finished product must be high, so that you import that raw material and make that product here, you create jobs and value addition. And in Pakistan, import duty on paper is very high and books are duty free.
I mean,
so Urdu Qaidas are being printed in Malaysia and Indonesia, and the printing industry here is dying. Simply because there are 3 paper mills that belong to very powerful families.
So when we talk about elite capture, it's like our own people are working against the interests of their people. So we can't really blame foreign elements when it is our own people.
Capitalists are same everywhere.
Capitalists are same everywhere. More so, I think, in Pakistan, because I think there's just like 40% of the country, according to international figures, is below the poverty line. I mean, you need to give something back to the country. I remember during my BSc economics, I studied looting bandits and the other kinds of bandits, roving bandits, the ones that steal and leave, and the ones that stay and continue stealing. So if you are from that category, you have to invest something back in the country so that you can continue to steal. But we don't even seem to have that.
You know, people have asked me, why aren't the elite worried? And my answer to them is no, they are not worried. They have family abroad, they have maybe houses abroad, bank balances abroad. And the only thing that will worry them when things are really very bad is how to reach the airport.
And given this has been shot at the time of Karachi's monsoon season downpour, I'm sure they must have been very disappointed to not get to their flights yesterday.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, I think we can go on and on talking about the elite capture, but one of the things you said earlier, I just want to bring back that point, that we have this entire narrative that Pakistan is becoming economically stable. We have Fitch and Moody's improving our ratings. At the same time, nobody seems to be talking about that the LSM is in the negative and has been persistently in the negative. If our industrial sector is not doing well, then how is the country doing well?
You know, 2006, you probably won't remember, you were too young then. We had the same language. The country is booming, economy is booming, we are a tiger economy, and you know, all kinds of adjectives were used to describe the economy. 2007, everything began to go down, and 2008, we were back sitting outside IMF's door, asking for a bailout. So this is, to me, for someone who's old enough, this is very familiar language. And it took over a year for the economy to start showing its cracks. We are weaker now. This will disappear. And we've been living on, you know, slogans. A decade ago came CPEC. CPEC will be a game changer. It will do all kinds of things.
Yes, I remember.
After 2 years, 3 years, we stopped talking of CPEC. Then came the Green Initiative. There is so much barren land in this country. If only we can cultivate it, we can export agriculture products and have dollars falling out of the sky. I think that didn't even last 1 year. Nobody talks of the Green Initiative anymore. Then there was a mining conference. We have so much minerals, we can earn millions of dollars. It lasted a few weeks. Now, thanks to Donald Trump, we are going to find oil and export oil.
Can you tell me the logic in that? Like, we were never an oil-rich country. Where does this suddenly oil interest come from Pakistan?
You see, the thing is that we have a regime, and I use the word regime because we really don't have a government. This is now trying to throw dust in the eyes of the people.
Very successfully.
So far.
So far.
Yes.
How long do you think it can continue throwing dust in the eyes of people? If it's business as usual, the way it's going currently, if it continues, how long can it continue?
I cannot tell you how long, but you saw in '68, and then in Zia's time and Musharraf's time, see, every time a military takeover, the first speech the martial law administrator makes promises elections, because he has to promise elections. Algeria and Burma had military government for 40 years without anyone questioning them in their countries. Here we question. And they hold elections which are rigged, but no regime lasts more than 8-10 years. It collapses. They've been clever this time. They are behind the curtains. They have put up these pliant politicians to speak for them.
I think the politicians have realized that they can only stay in power if they are pliant.
Yes, these politicians who want to serve as
figureheads,
servitude, you know. So
servitude is good when your bag costs hundreds and thousands of rupees.
Well, servitude of the people is good, but servitude of a lobby behind you is not good. The state is bankrupt actually, economically, technically. If I borrow money from you and I can't pay it back, I am bankrupt. Pakistan is bankrupt. It's been bankrupt for 8-10 years. It's surviving because we get loans to repay our loans. Now we are taking loans only to repay loans. Not a single dollar of loan comes for any development project. There are no development projects anymore. The state survives just to meet its current expenditure, and it's taking loans for that. Even our soldiers are being paid salaries out of loans. The day one loan is held back, one loan is not rolled over, we are in deep trouble.
And hence the international financial elements that can control the economy, because we are dependent on them.
Yeah,
if tomorrow IMF comes up and says, listen, no more money, the stock market that is booming, new highs. Just yesterday there was a new high. It will crash. Not that it matters because that's just same money rolling, but generally the entire economy will crash. Dollar will go sky high, or petrol will be very expensive. It's just one statement from IMF, and that's all it will take.
Yes, all these variables that you mentioned are very important. That's exactly how it will happen. But what I'm worried about is the variable of people's household budget. Already, I know middle class families, sometimes they don't have food in the house because there was one bread earner lost his job because the company or the organization closed down or they downsized. And I think the media industry is particularly visible in that. I can tell you a dozen names right now, people who I know who are associated with the media industry for maybe 20, 30 years. They are unemployed now and in really bad condition.
Oh, absolutely.
You see? So
I work in a media house.
I know.
Circumstances are dire, especially
so
for
this
all.
is when economists and Western trained economists and policymakers and businessmen and politicians, they talk about the economy getting better. They're playing with numbers. But there is
It is numbers. It is just
unemployment,
statistics.
poverty, and even starvation in certain families. They don't have enough to eat.
And so many of their narratives are contrary. You talk about climate change. Dawn itself has a Breathe Pakistan campaign, and in the budget speech, the finance minister praised it. And look what's happening in KP in Karachi. How many times will the floods happen in metro cities like Islamabad, Karachi, as well as provinces, before you realize that you need to adapt? Even the measures in the budget, the climate change budget, greenwashing.
I worked in Swat for 4 years. 94 was that 94 when the first Taliban took over. Takeover of Swat took place. I was there.
Oh.
And that's when the floods, big floods came, Swat floods. And scores and scores of hotels which were built on the banks of the river just collapsed, same as what is happening now. But there was no learning.
Absolutely, 20 years, nothing has changed.
They rebuilt those hotels again the same way, and again they collapsed.
You would think the people at least would understand it's their businesses that are being lost.
There isn't. So there is some problem. The business class simply says they are all into short-term money making. Let us make our profits. What if it collapses 2 years later and people die? We already made our profits. And the state simply doesn't care. There is a law. I'll tell you a story. In Swat, there was a building constructed right across the district council office, which was openly illegal because it was half on land, half on the waterway. So we went, there was a Geneva University professor with me, and he asked, how is that possible? It's right across your office. And the reply was, those who are cowards come to us for permission. Otherwise, they build what they want to build.
Wow.
Now, this is governance.
And it's just the language of it. It's like there is disdain for people trying to go through the legal ways.
Yes.
Disdain by the officials themselves who are supposed to impose the law.
Yes.
In such a scenario when there's no governance and there's extreme elite capture and there's extreme international financial meddling, so much so that the finance secretary could be removed because the IMF
There are
said so.
two levels of elite capture, our domestic elite as well as the foreign elite.
The foreign elite control the domestic elite, and the domestic elite do not care about us.
Yes, that's right.
How do we move past this?
We have all to come out on the street and fight.
Nobody's going to do that. We can come out for Gaza, we can come out for
We have
Palestine.
not even come out for Gaza.
We have a few marches, although those might be politically motivated as well.
Handful. But look at the marches in other countries. Look at London, for example.
It's easier to march for them in Pakistan, which stands with Palestine, is very clear about his stance.
We did not march during any of the two Gulf wars. There were no mass mobilizations.
We don't march for our own minorities.
There were 1 million people in London protesting against the Gulf War. We didn't even manage to get 1,000.
I don't think there. Say all the salaried class come on the roads and we march for 2 weeks, a month. Do you think that will change governance, or will there be lip service and then things will go back to business as usual?
No, I think
we've had containers blocking Islamabad.
The state has feet of clay. It's very weak. And I think any organized resistance, they will either have to respond or they will crack.
They'll crack. The regime will change, but the powers would remain the same.
The thing is that either you explode or you implode. Yes, I agree with you. The ingredients for explosion is not there. People will not come out on the streets, not in Lahore, not in Karachi. But the state is imploding. Balochistan is the same condition as it existed in East Pakistan.
Yes.
Even I served 3 years with the Chief Minister of Balochistan. He never had the Pakistani flag on his car.
People in Pakistan associate more with their ethnicities and culture than the state of Pakistan. Even when we see flags, we see political party flags a lot more easily than we see Pakistan's flag.
But every government of office, every government vehicle, they have a Pakistani flag. When the Chief Minister or the Governor goes anywhere, the Pakistani flag is on their vehicle, on their buildings. You will not find it in Balochistan. They're too scared. FATA, old FATA is in turmoil. Most of it is no-go area. People can't go there. We know because we send our teams for research teams and they're not allowed. As soon as our team land over there, the security people come and say, who are you, why are you here? You can't do that. We've had to cut short our surveys, research surveys, because and the team had to return back from the hotel or the guest house because they were not allowed to go anywhere. So this, a large part of the country is no-go area. You can't go there. In Balochistan, half the districts, the deputy commissioners don't sit in their districts, they are sitting in Quetta. And 1 or 2 are in Islamabad actually. I mean, so the country is imploding. Just because it's not happening every day in Karachi and Lahore and Islamabad, we think everything is normal. It's not.
Even if we know, even if we are aware, like Karachi drowned yesterday, we are here at office, so many other people, and tomorrow kids will go back to school if there's no more rain, business will, and then we'll just continue the same way as we did in the 2022 floods or the past floods.
Yes, that's why I mentioned Swat, because there is so much death and destruction. When you build in the way of the waterway, don't be surprised if your house is washed away. Now, you have to make sure that the waterways are kept clear. The government, whether it's federal, provincial, local, tribal, they all have to make sure that the waterway is not built upon.
It is not in their interest because they take so much profit in the short duration that they have those buildings that they're like, okay, if it washes away, it washes away. We have recouped
2005 floods, the epicenter was Balakot. And they decided that Balakot should be shifted. It should be relocated somewhere else. Balakot has rebuilt where it was because the state does not have the writ to stop people from doing something dangerous, which is dangerous to themselves, but they will do it anyway, and the state can't do anything about it. It's just like this Swat district chairman saying, only the cowards come to us for permission.
The sad part is this video, this podcast will not get any reactions, and we'll be having the same conversation 10 years down the road, just the way we had these conversations 10 years ago and 10 years before that. Nothing changes.
90s when I was working Swat, I did make presentations, showed slides of buildings, hotels that had collapsed, how people had built on the waterway. One hotel, I think I still have that slide. Those were the days when you put slides in the machine
Yes,
and
the projector,
showed the
with the screen,
projector.
yes.
The name of the hotel was Swat Heaven, and it had collapsed. And I used to say, this is what can happen to heaven if you don't take care of it, you know.
From the slides to AI, we're still having this conversation. I would like to end this podcast on a positive note, but I don't think I have optimism left. Not when we are sitting in the middle of a drowned city again. Thank you so much for coming on my show, sir. And I really hope that the next time we have a conversation, it will be on a more optimistic note, but I don't have any hope for that.
I hope so.
I'm glad that one of us is optimistic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.